Welcome, NFL fans, Falcons fans. Great to see you. Another Saturday edition of Jackson Pigskins with your host, Tom Pollen, and Mad Mike of Mad Mike Sports. Welcome to the show again today, Mike. Great to have you.
You messed up my name. You messed up my name.
I messed up your name.
Yeah, you messed up my name, though. It's the great one, okay? It's the great
Great
one.
Oh, man.
Uh,
How I keep doing it.
I'm kidding.
Next week, I'll get it right.
Okay.
Get it right. Tom Pollen with the great one of Mad Mike Sports. And we have another one of our interesting show. We do have a couple of topics to talk about. As usual, we're between that time between mini camp and training camp. But there has been some news this week, some things that have come out with the Falcons and NFL-wise that I want to talk about a little bit, because some people don't seem to think it's some people seem to think that it's an overreaction. And I want to tell you why you're wrong about why these suspensions this past week are not an overreaction. So I love telling people that they're wrong. So believe me.
Now you're speaking my language. That's exactly what I live for it.
Yeah. So we're going to get into the show today. Brought to you by Prize Picks. For your first, they will match up to $100. I've been doing this week after week, and I keep messing up this promo.
I'm not very good at promos. Look, I just roll with the pro.
But they will match up to $100 of your first deposit. So, you get a free $100 to play with. Plenty of options on Prize Picks to make your player prop selections. They do have the upcoming NFL season is on the board. You can make your picks as far as what you think is going to happen in the NFL this year, season wide. And I said I was going to give a Atlanta Falcons prop pick every week. Oh, by the way, use the promo code ASU. That tells Prize Picks where you've heard them from and helps support the show, helps support this show. And, we can use all the support we can get. But one of the interesting props on Prize Picks this week, Atlanta Falcons prop, receiving touchdowns. They have Kyle Pitts and Drake London both at 4.5 touchdowns this week for next season. So interesting to see if it seems a little low to me.
You think? Yeah, they're trying to get a rant out of Mad Mike. That's what they're trying to get.
So, but go ahead, go on Prize Picks and show them that you think that they are low on the touchdown projections for Kyle Pitts and Drake London, because they only have them at 4.5, and it, as I say, definitely low. So, especially considering that they have Desmond Ridder at passing TDs at 15.5. So how is Desmond Ridder going to get to 15.5 touchdowns if Kyle Pitts and Drake London are only at 4.5?
Yeah. Make it make sense, man. Make it make sense.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So, again, Prize Picks, they have your next season 2023 projections and some pretty good options for the Falcons. If you want to go on site, sign up, download the app, and use the promo code ASU. Okay.
That's a lot.
We have a little bit of news. Well, first thing, let's wish the Falcons happy birthday. A happy birthday to the Atlanta Falcons. They are 59 years old as of yesterday. And June 30th, 1965, the NFL awarded the Atlanta the 15th franchise in the NFL. So always good to hear that. Always great to come up on that date. And,
happy birthday.
Yeah, it is. And Rankin Smith got the pulled down the franchise. Actually, Atlanta almost became an AFL franchise for a little bit. Cox Communications wanted to buy a franchise for Atlanta for the AFL. And Pete Rozelle stepped in. They were moving kind of slow in Atlanta. Well, Rozelle kind of kicked everything in the butt, got down to Atlanta and sold it. And they had just finished building Atlanta, what would be Atlanta Fulton County Stadium. Mm-hmm. Just brought the Braves in from Milwaukee. So, and they were looking for that NFL team, and it became the Falcons. So, happy birthday to the Atlanta Falcons. And
that part I didn't know.
Huh?
The part of being the AFL, that part I didn't know.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they say they kind of had different financial backers running around trying to get a team going. And the AFL was looking for franchises in Atlanta and Philadelphia. And now they didn't end up in Philadelphia. They ended up in Miami for 1968. But they did want Atlanta as part of the AFL. And, well, the merger at that point had already taken place, the 1966 merger between the leagues. Mm-hmm. So they were going to be in the NFL anyway. But they would have started in the AFL and may have been an AFL team going forward.
We could have avoided the 49ers.
Yeah, you could have. You never know. So, but the AFL kind of stepped back and, as I say, went down to Miami to bring Miami into the AFL. So there's a lot of scrambling going around in those years. Once the AFL hit in 1960, it was like, it really kicked the NFL in the rear end, kicked the NFL in the ass to actually start doing some expanding and bringing NFL franchises to cities that had wanted them for a long time. And so, the one thing the AFL did is get the NFL off their, bottoms and, told them to start expanding, start bringing football. They expanded to Minnesota. They expanded to Dallas. And then in 1965, there's the Falcons. So, not always nice, 59 years old. Next year is going to be 60 years of Atlanta Falcons. Not Atlanta Falcons football. Didn't kick off till 1966. Mm-hmm. But 60 years of being a franchise.
Absolutely.
So, be fun.
Thank God for that. I don't know what I'd do without Falcons football.
Ms. Maggie T is on today. Nice to see. Great. Mm-hmm. Good afternoon.
That's the boss lady. She's just keeping an eye on, make sure I'm not cursing and acting the fool over here. That's all. She keeps me in line. She keeps you
in line? Okay. Yeah, we need somebody to do that. You're right. Justin Farmer is actually answering the question that I posed at the top of the show. And, I haven't even brought up the question yet officially on the show. But it seems like I've been seeing this past week some speculation that the Falcons maybe shouldn't be done with free agency yet. That there might be a couple more names that they should bring in. Justin's saying no, but I've heard now. I know, Mike, you did a quick video last week about Kenny Galladay, and a receiver with size, who the Falcons love receivers with size.
Absolutely.
That seems to be the one trend that you could tell from Terry Fontenot so far during his tenure as general manager. But you kind of shot that down, Mike. Why don't you go ahead and give your reasonings, and let's hear what you have to say.
Well, I shot it down. I like shooting, by the way. But I shut it down for the fact that I don't think at this point, it's like I feel that they have the receivers. I really believe that Mac Hollins is going to be have a bigger impact in the receiving core than most people think. He's a veteran. He's physical. He loves to block. He's actually a big playmaker. But the reason why I say Kenny Galladay won't is for the simple fact of the roster. I think he does fit what Atlanta does. He does. His hands are kind of sketchy at times, but if you look at his size, Desmond Ridder is the type of quarterback. He likes to throw to bigger receivers, so he fits as far as the quarterback is concerned and the scheme is concerned. He's a big body. He's physical. I'm not exactly sure. He's not one of those receivers that I feel is going to mix it up in the running game. So for that reason, I say no. But if you look at his skills as a receiver, he fits perfectly for what the Falcons does. But yeah, at this moment, like I said, I don't think you, especially with Terry Fontenot, like that dude, man, he'll sign 3-4 wide receivers before you know, and he'll cut 3 wide receivers. So like those guys are real anal when it comes down to what they want and what they see. But Galladay does fit with the Atlanta Falcons offensively as a receiver, but I'm not sure as far as his physicality, because he does have those moments of lapse where he's just not concentrating, and you have that. I mean, Brian Edwards, he figured that out real quick, that you have a lapse of any lapse as far as your concentration, and you feel like he feels like you're not trying hard, yeah, you're gone. So Galladay does have those moments where he doesn't care, or seemingly doesn't care.
Yeah, I think you could see that he turned into one of the worst free agent signings.
Oh my goodness, yeah. I was actually shocked by that. I thought he would be a lot better than what he did.
So did I. But did nothing in New York. Did nothing last year with Brian Dable as the head coach.
Yeah.
So that tells you quite a bit about where Galladay's head's at when it comes to being a receiver. Now, maybe he wants to make up for all that, but as far as I'm concerned, he can make up for all that somewhere else. It's not in Atlanta. I don't think Atlanta has a bunch of guys who want to be a big part of the process, big solution to the problem that they've had here. And again, Mike, I go back to your videos over this past week. You're showing a lot of guys who are working their asses off to make this team and to be a productive part of this team. And yeah, I don't think Galladay just fits that mold right now. So, but yeah, I'm looking at those videos. I'm looking at what some of these guys are doing and how they're working. And it's great to see this team really looking like they're pulling together and ready to make some noise. So, you gotta love to see that. Another name I've seen this past year is Jarvis Landry. This past week, I mean. So former Saint, played with New Orleans last year, did not play much, hurt, but did have some productive seasons in Miami and in Cleveland. So a little bit different question than Galladay, I think, but smaller than Galladay. Not quite, doesn't have the size, but again, seeing a lot of speculation that he might be good for the Falcons. So what's your opinion on Jarvis Landry?
Ooh. I don't like the fact he is a skank.
Yeah.
I have to take a huge side because I know I'm gonna get it for saying this.
When have
this,
you ever been shy, Mike? Come on.
because I know I'm gonna get it for this. I know I'm gonna get it for this take. Um, uh, I this is a difficult take for me because um I know the Falcons, they need pass catchers, not necessarily guys that are gonna have speed. I think we have enough speed at this point, but we need guys that are going to be sure-handed. So the reason why I say is it's difficult for me because I know Landry is a sure-handed catcher. Um, he he can get open at times. He's not where he once was as far as his athleticism is concerned, but he has sure hands. So that's the main reason why I say especially with a young receiver, a young quarterback like Desmond Ritter, you need sure-handed guys. Um, and we have a lot of young wide receivers, Darby,
Yes.
obviously Drake. Um, but I do like the Janu Smith being there, but like outside of Scotty Miller, he's had his issues in the past as far as um, consistently catching. So he's had his issues. So it's like that's a difficult take for me with Jarvis to say no.
Yeah.
Because he has sure hands. So it's like I think it's like Matt Ryan. He's not. It's not gonna wire you with a lot of athleticism, but oh man, I would say yes, just for that reason. He's like a tight end in the middle of the field. He can control the middle of the field even with his size. So it's like I said, I think Desmond really need as many sure-handed catches at this point in time because this is truly his rookie year as a quarterback.
Yes, it is. Right.
So I think he needed as many sure-handed just to help build his confidence. So I think they need as many sure-handed. So I would say yes on Jarvis Landry. And like I said, I know I'm gonna get it for this take.
I don't see why you would. Again, it's a lot of young receivers on the roster, yes, but you're in a position as a team where I think the Falcons believe that they are in the mix for the NFC South and are a good, as good as anybody in the NFC South to take the division.
Mm-hmm.
And with the receivers they have a lot of young receivers. And if you really feel like you're a contender in the NFC South, I think you have to get another one. I think you need to bring another one in. And I think Jarvis Landry would be as good as anybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And probably the best. I looked over some of the free agents still on the market. And I'm telling you, it's a thin group. There's not much left to be had. So, you look T.Y. Hilton, but he's pretty much at the end of his career. Anthony Miller never has worked out with the Bears or with Pittsburgh. Just a lot of guys, and Keel Harry, who was with the Patriots and the Bears. a lot of guys out there, but
Yeah.
not a lot of guys who are going to have an impact on a team. And I think pushed the Falcons over the top. And I think Landry's probably one of the only ones still out there who could do that, who could give the Falcons somebody reliable. So
I've actually been thinking about something, and like I said, I know I'm gonna get it for this take. Um, but yeah, I think at this time, it's like you have to think about one thing. If you're an Atlanta Falcons and an Atlanta Falcons fan, the Falcons need veteran receivers. They need veteran receivers at this point. Like I said, I think they have enough pass catchers. CP,
right.
Janu, Kyle, Drake.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think they have enough, but I've been seeing this around for a while, and I've really been thinking about this.
Okay.
But I would not be against bringing Julio back. I would
Ah,
not be.
okay.
Yeah, I think for one, Julio pretty much learned his lesson. Julio learned his lesson. Um, I think a lot of receivers have learned their lesson in regards to how much power they truly have, and that's like
Yeah,
offensive coordinators like Kyle Shanahan, Arthur Smith, like these guys, Bill Belichick, like they're taking back control of their franchise when it comes down to these receivers
right.
demanding money the way that they've been demanding. And like you see DeAndre Hopkins, he's going through the same thing. Like he still think he's DeAndre Hopkins of old. And the
Right.
game is like I saw an article earlier this morning where we're saying the fullback position is coming back. I mean, and that's largely due to the fact that a lot of these receivers are just demanding way too much money for being a part of a system, being part of a scheme. Like the
Mm-hmm.
quarterback and receivers are kind of interlinked, and one really can't have one without the other. Quarterback needs a receiver, receiver needs a quarterback. They
Yeah.
have to have it. So I would not be against bringing Julio back for one the fan base. I think the fan base and Julio needs that true ending. It
Yeah.
went out ugly. It went out bad. Bring him in, for a year, because I think Julio is pretty much on the end downside of his career, and I think he's going to retire soon. So I'll bring him back for
I
a
agree with
year. Let him teach Drake. You know, continue to pass on that legacy as far as receivers is concerned, and just let him ride off in the sunset. And I think it, like I said, I think it'll be good for both sides, the receivers, the franchise, and the fan base. Just go out on the right. Just go on the right time, because like I said, that didn't sit well with me.
Oh no, I don't think it's that well with a lot of people. So Rashad Knox said, I would love to have Julio back for those same reasons, Mike. So, one person agrees with you. Well, if you bring Julio back, I don't know if you can bring Jarvis Landry in.
Right,
So, it's either going to be one or the other.
right.
Now, Julio, yeah, he has the history with the franchise, but can he stay healthy?
Yeah, yeah,
That's the one thing. Now, Jarvis Landry wasn't healthy last year, so you got to look at that too. But I would love to see Julio back in Atlanta.
yeah.
Um,
That
no, that did not go down well. What the split between um, the two sides as far as the Falcons and Julio Jones. Um, I think Julio Jones got a little bit maybe felt a little bit more of his importance than I felt he was more important to the team than maybe the team
mm-hmm.
felt at that point, and it turned into a situation where it didn't work for either side. So,
Right.
but I don't know why wide receivers go through that though.
I have no, man, I don't know.
What is it with
Receivers are
wide
just.
receivers?
I have no idea. I have no idea. I every one. I probably with the exception of Jerry Rice he is probably the only one.
Yeah, I mean, and Stephon Diggs is
Oh my
wreaking
goodness,
havoc up in
that
Buffalo.
freaking clown. That look,
And he's doing exactly what he did in Minnesota.
it's the exact same thing. So
Yeah.
good gracious.
And he goes to Buffalo. He loves Buffalo. Buffalo loves him. They have a couple of great seasons together, and now all of a sudden it's not sitting right with him, and he's not happy. And don't ask me to translate his tweets or Instagram posts because I'm not sure what he was referring to, who was lying on who, and but
Oh boy.
it you got a quarterback that really values you. You're still one of the top receivers in the league. You're
You get the targets. You get the targets. You have a defense. You have a good fan base behind. Like, what is wrong with you, dude? Like that dude. Oh my god.
now. I know he was frustrated with his targets in the divisional round last year when they lost to Cincinnati, but you're not seeing the same thing at receiver that a quarterback is seeing behind
Right.
the line of scrimmage. All right, Josh Allen is seeing a whole different game in front of him than Stephon Diggs is,
It's
and
different when you're getting pressured and you're getting pressured as
right,
a quarterback, and you have to, keep in mind that if I throw an interception, chances are we may not get the ball back.
right. So you know, it kills me because and Diggs just got paid. They gave him an extension. They showed Diggs how important he is to them. And I don't know. I don't get it. But same thing with DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, I've seen a couple of things floated to Atlanta, but he's not coming to Atlanta. Tell you the truth, I don't think DeAndre Hopkins is going to sign until about 2 weeks into training camp because he doesn't want to go through the early stages of training
I
camp.
never thought of that. I didn't think of Yeah, I didn't think of that. You may be right about that.
Yeah, I don't see him signing until maybe a week before the preseason schedule starts.
Yeah, because
So,
I see no other team is offer his services. So yeah, I didn't think of that.
so it's going to be wild. I think that's the only reason he hasn't put his name on a contract yet, because I don't think the offers are getting any better for him.
I
But
wouldn't think so.
no, and the only team that seems to be mentioned in relation to him is the Patriots, and I'm a little surprised at that too, because Bill Belichick has gone through a couple of problem receivers, and there's no denying the talent of DeAndre Hopkins, but is that talent still there? There was a time when I thought DeAndre Hopkins was above and beyond the best receiver in the league.
I mean,
It's
yeah, he's definitely a top three receiver, especially in his prime. That's goes without saying.
so, but he also did come out and say that he's going to make things easier for his teammates with whatever team he signs with. So
I have no idea what that means.
I know that's what he said, though. So we'll see. We'll see how that works out. But yeah, so it'd be nice to see Julio come back. I don't know how much Julio Jones helps them this year, though. Helps the Falcons.
Mm-hmm.
Does he put the team over the top? Does he give Desmond Ritter a reliable target? There's no doubt that he can catch. I mean, he's still got the hands. But
I don't. Yeah, I don't think it is. I think it's more of a culture. It's like a adrenaline shot more than anything. I think it's one of those situations like you need. He's here at this point in time, to kind of get the fans behind. It's like it's one of those moves where it's like fans need something to cheer about
Yeah,
because we still have the question of what Desmond or what Bijan Robinson is going to be. It's Kyle Pitts of old. Um,
yeah.
so I think you bring back Julio Jones just to kind of get the fans behind them right now because that's the only thing. If you look at the Falcons team outside of Grady Jarrett,
Yeah.
um, it's not much the fans want to cheer.
Well, it's true. I mean, it's been a couple of years since they've had some identifiable players that the fans really can get behind, and so it would be interesting to see. Yeah, I think Julio Jones coming back would definitely be great fan service,
Hmm.
uh, and if he's healthy, he can help this team. So we'll see how that plays out. Um, see how it plays out as far as these next couple of weeks because we're getting close to camp. Amazingly, isn't it? It's just
I'm
unbelievable.
happy. I'm tired of causing trouble. I've caused enough trouble. I'm getting bored causing trouble. I need some football to talk about.
On defense, what do you think of Yannick Ngakwe is still sitting out there. Do you think he would still be a possibility? I know Dave and I talked about that at the beginning of free agency about him coming into Atlanta. Uh, a guy who has sack totals, a guy who can get after the quarterback, but seems to be on the outside looking in as far as free agent linebackers right now. And do you think Atlanta's still a possibility for him? You think he goes somewhere else?
Whew, I say never say never. It's like never say never. You can never have too many pass rushes. So for me, it's
Well,
like
that's the way I look at it.
I'm always looking for pass rushers, especially edge guys. Um, with Omenyata, Grady, Eddie Goldman in the middle, I think there's going to be ample opportunities for those edge guys to get after it.
Mhm.
Um, I think it comes down to for whatever, God forbid, anything happened to an edge. Um, like I think he would be the prime guy. It's like I would go get him immediately if something happened to Ogum, Deji,
Right.
Ebiketie, Lorenzo Carter. It's like I'm going immediately to get him because, like I said, you can never have too many edge guys, and the more
Right.
edge guys that you have, especially during the course or the second half, I think he's one of those guys that you can when the second half comes, let
Yep.
him line up and just get after it because most of the offensive linemen, they're a bit tired and they don't want to go. They don't want to run after these edge guys in the third and fourth quarter.
Nope.
So it's like, especially with our offense, you don't have opportunities for these edge guys to get after it. So, um, yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of passing. A lot of teams are going to have to pass the ball on the Falcons to win a lot of games and stay in games. They're going to have to pass because, like I said, the Falcons' offense it's all predicated on ball control and
Hmm.
time of possession. So having a guy like um Ngakwe, I think, yeah, I would like that. I would. It just depends on how much money he's asking for.
Well, that's it too. Because I still think he's more of a prime free agent, probably one of the only other prime free agents out there at the moment. Is I looked at Spot Rack this week and this morning, and not seeing a lot that stands out to me. Surprisingly, Deion Jones is still out there. And it's amazing because 5 years ago, everybody thought Deion Jones was going to be, one of the most, dominant middle linebackers, and he's still sitting out there, but being speculated to the Cowboys right now. So be interesting to see how that goes. But
That's kind
yeah,
of shocking to see that. The see Dion. It's like I think, yeah, you have Dion Jones. He's available. Obviously, what's the right? Good gosh, he was a linebacker was last year. Good brain fart. The middle linebacker for the Falcons. Good gracious.
Oh,
Uh,
Lorenzo Carter. Oh no,
uh,
no, I know who you're talking about. I can't remember his name.
Rashawn Evans.
Yes, Rashawn Evans.
Rashawn,
That's it.
yeah, Rashawn Evans. There's a lot of linebackers. I don't like. I would have said that it was due to the fact that he's not as good as coverage, but you have Deion Jones is still available. So I have no idea why a lot of these players are being overlooked at this point. It's like it's baffling for me.
I'm surprised the Falcons didn't bring back Rashawn Evans because I thought he played ahead. I thought he
Yeah,
played pretty damn well for him last year,
I,
and I was kind of surprised to see him on the outside looking in by the time when free agent market started, and he still hasn't been picked up, and he's only 27. The guy
yeah.
guy still has value, so it's interesting. I'm looking right now. They think his market value is about a little over $9 million for 2 years. So average salary, you're looking at about $4.5 million to sign him for a year, which would be his market value, according to Spot Rack.
Mm-hmm.
So still affordable for the Falcons. And kind of surprising that they haven't picked up on that yet, but we'll see. As I say, yeah, you're right. As training camp gets going, we're going to see some players go down. We're going to see some of these free agents get picked back up and, head towards camp. I think Evans will be one of them. I don't know if Ngakoue is still going to be available by training camp. If you want him, I think, you're going to have to take him now.
Yeah.
Or before training camp starts. The Falcons are going to have to make a decision on him.
Yeah, I think for whatever reason, they still believe in Mike Walker.
They do.
Yeah, I mean, with the scheme that Ron Nielsen has, he's not going to be left in coverage a lot. Like he's going to be attacking the line of scrimmage, closer to the line of scrimmage. So I understand why Mike Walker is here, but it's like, do you really trust him? I don't trust him. So yeah,
so I mean, it's possible.
yeah. I would have stayed with Rashawn Evans personally, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't because I think he led the team in tackles last year, didn't he?
Yeah, I think he's like top five in the league, somewhere. In there.
Right. So that's another reason why I was surprised they didn't bring him back in. Anybody who can cover the middle and bring guys down and be reliable as far as keeping the middle clogged up. You gotta like that. You gotta. But I don't get paid to build the team. I just get paid to complain about it.
Right.
I don't actually get paid for it either.
I wish I could get paid to complain about it.
Yeah, there you go. I'm with you. Wish I could get right. Exactly. Jay Diaz, who I haven't seen give a comment before, says if Evans was coming back, I think it would have happened. Maybe if something changes, they'll sign him. I kind of agree with you, Jay. I think if something does change, they will sign him, but I think he has to still be on their radar. But and I'm beginning to wonder if anybody's going to sign him before the season starts. What do you think, Zozo? Do you think
as their appearance. I was waiting for it.
Yeah, she making her cameo appearance. I didn't think she was napping all morning. I didn't think she was going to make it for the show, but yeah, you knew the show was going on, didn't you? So, but all right, well, considering the way that Atlanta Leo, what's up, fellas? Hey, we're doing great. Glad to have you. Always glad to have all of you join us on Saturday for a little football talk, a little Falcons talk. Love having you. And yeah, I think the Falcons are probably still going to make a move. This is a team that I don't think Fontenot's ever happy.
No.
So I wouldn't be surprised to see him sitting still if he thinks there's somebody else who can upgrade this team, and I think he'll do it. And don't be surprised if there's another signing coming up before training camp. Be interesting.
I think you can never have too much defense. I think there's room for another defender.
Always room.
Especially with a guy like there's rumors as far as CP is concerned that teams are looking to acquire his services. But I like you have to blow me away. It had to be a second or third round pick for me to get rid of CP. He's just too valuable of a player.
He does
at
too
this
much.
point. Yeah, he does way too much, and like you can never like CP is the type of guy you can put him in the backfield. We kind of used him more of a wide receiver towards the end of the year last year, and he caught the ball and made a few plays with his yards after catch ability. So it's like he's one of those guys, man. It's like I don't know I'll give that away so willingly and for nothing.
Absolutely not. There's no reason for it. He came into the league as a wide receiver. So,
right.
But he's done so much, and he's shown his value all over the field as far as on offense. So, no, you don't give him away for anything. You better get something really solid in return. But I think he's too important to this team still. I think he gives a lot of variety to this offense. Allows this offense to do more things, line people up in different positions, and I love that.
And you can, if you're down, if you need a big return to get some solid field position, he's one of those guys because you can line up punt and kick return. It's like he still has that ability, so it's like I'm not giving that away. Like I said, you would have to wow me with the.
Yeah, you better. Right. All right, down to the last 15 minutes of the show. Oh, man, there's something else. But I do want to talk about, and I know maybe it's not one of the more popular subjects these last couple of weeks. I know some sports talk people have kind of roasted the NFL on this, and I don't know why, because this is a danger. And it has to do with the suspensions for violating the league's gambling policy. And it is a big problem. And I get the suspensions. The suspensions are needed. But you also need to get these guys you've got to get these guys to a point where they take the gambling policy seriously. So Isaiah Rodgers, Rashad Berry of the Indianapolis Colts, free agent Demetrius Taylor, suspended indefinitely. So that's going to be at least a year suspension. And Nicholas Pettit, free agent of the Tennessee Titans, suspended for the team's first 6 regular season games for betting on non-NFL sports at the club facility. What's wrong with gambling by NFL players? Come on, it's innocent. Everybody gambles, except for the fact that you lose a lot. They don't build sports books. They don't build casinos, taking out big loans, and these things. People who work at these places, people who do odds, and people who make the odds every week, make a lot of money. They don't, this is a big industry. And they don't get paid to lose. Let's put it that way. They don't get paid to lose. And they win a lot more than they lose. So you're never going to be on the positive end when it comes to gambling in the NFL or gambling among anybody.
Right.
It's very rare you're going to come out positive with more money in your pocket than what you started with. So, Jay Diaz, again, my thing is I never understood betting when you're already rich. Jay, that's the thing. This is not like pre-free agency when you didn't have, when teams had more control over players and their salaries.
Right.
Pre-salary cap era. So, but what gets me is, and people say, what's wrong with these guys gambling? It gets out of hand. Because you start getting the feel like you got to catch up. All right. Yeah, I lost 10,000 this week, but I can catch that up. Well, that's a trap. You got to watch that. That is a trap. And then you get down farther. Pro Football Talk about 3-4 weeks ago, he had it that there was a rumor that a player had lost $8 million gambling.
Yes.
Now, never came out who. They don't know who. But I know a lot of people are saying, well, it's their own money. Let them do what they want with it. It's their own money. However, if you get too deep in with the gamblers, what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. And it's happened before.
Yes.
Paul Hornung, in 1963, Paul Hornung and Alex Karras, both Hall of Famers, were suspended for a year, not for gambling, but for consorting with gamblers, for hanging around with crowds with people who are known gamblers.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't even gambling, and they were suspended for a year. Do you know the 1946 NFL championship game was almost thrown?
Yes. Yep.
Frankie Filchak, quarterback of the New York Giants, was approached with a bribe to throw the game. The Bears were favored by 10, and Filchak refused the bribe, but he did report that he had been approached and played the game well, but still was suspended from the NFL for about 4 years after that before he was reinstated. Joe Namath owned a club.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Bachelor's 3. And Pete Rozelle came down very seriously on Joe Willie Namath. And this is Joe Namath, who had just won Super Bowl III.
Yeah.
Saved the merger. And but there were too many gamblers hanging out at his club, and he had to divest all interest in that nightclub to continue playing football. This is how serious the NFL is about football. They're serious because nobody has ever wanted to go back to 1919 when the Chicago White Sox did throw the World Series.
Mm-hmm.
And baseball, I did a research project.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah. Where I was looking through 1920 and 1921 newspapers. it was a big deal. And people were not, people did not just let it go. Yeah, the Black Sox, Pantera, they did not just let it go. The fans wanted to know. And when the suspensions were handed down in September of 1920, it took the White Sox out of the pennant race. But fans in Chicago, if you read the Chicago papers from the time, fans were thrilled. They were happy. They got the bad elements off the team.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't matter that they didn't win the pennant. We have an honest team now. And it makes a difference. And I don't know why that mindset has changed so much over these last, over the last decade, last 20 years. It makes a difference because if you get too far behind with a gambler, with a sports book,
mm-hmm.
you are prime target. If somebody, and it doesn't have to be throwing a game, it could be point shaving.
Yeah.
Point shaving is, say, your team, you're favored by 6. Maybe you win by 4.
Mm-hmm.
You're not losing. You still win the game. Or maybe, favored by 10. And you do something that keeps your team from stretching that lead. And it could be innocent.
Yeah.
You drop a pass. You're a cornerback. You make a play on the ball that's ill-timed, ill thought out. And, you get beat on a play. It can look innocent,
mm-hmm.
but it's a problem. And
you can cause a lot of people to lose money for just things simple as missing a free throw, getting a penalty, holding the guy on the running play that'll cause it to get a first down and keep a lead. Like it's things like that. Like for me, like I have nothing nice to say when it comes down to gambling.
Right.
Gambling and people who like to gamble, I think you're morons. Like I'm not giving money away for a wish. Like that's just the most ignorant thing in the world for me. It's like I'm just not into giving money away. If I'm gonna give money away, I'm gonna give it to a good cause. Okay,
Right,
I just don't.
Right.
So it's just anybody that like I'm just all right. Let me give you. Let me throw $8 million. I'm like, oh, you crazy? Like what? Just give it to the old lady on the corner. She's standing there. She need clothes. She need a house. Like give it to them. Like you want to just give money away for a wish. Like I have like I said, I have nothing nice to say when it comes down to gambling. I think it's the most ignorant thing in the world. You do have the right, and what I say, to remain ignorant. That is your right.
That is.
But I just don't understand it. And
among your inalienable rights in the United States is to be
you're right. So it's like I don't get it. Hey John, how you doing? John St. Clair.
Yeah.
But the reason why I have nothing nice to say in regards to this situation is just more so the players. It's like that you're not supposed to do this. Like, look,
yes,
kids know you're not supposed to gamble.
Right.
You're especially at team facilities. Like, look, have someone else do it. Like, you can create a language between you two. To be like, you can do anything to be able to do it outside of it. You know what I'm saying? Where the NFL won't know exactly what you're doing. So it's like, why are you going out of your way to gamble? And then we have, the fans was like, yeah, it's their right, it's their money. Yeah, that's true. But like the NFL have the right to, protect their brand, protect their image. And this is the thing we're talking about as far as you go back to the 20s with Al Capone and all these types of guys that were involved in a lot of these, the scandal with the White Sox and all this. Like it's a major issue.
It is.
And furthermore, it's like you go back into the 20s, 50s, 70s, 80s. There was a lot of gambling issues. You go from Pete Pete Rose. Pete wasn't gambling against his teams, but it
But
was
still,
it would still, affect him.
if
Um,
Pete, but everybody knew Pete Rose is if he was gambling or not. If Pete Rose did not gamble on the Reds that day,
hmm
it created a question in a lot of people's minds. Does Pete Rose
hmm
not think that the Reds can
Right,
win?
right.
And that's as much of a problem as not betting on the Reds to lose.
hmm
You're creating that doubt in everybody's mind.
You have
And
to have the
nobody
trust.
seems to get that either. But Zozo, come on. I'm trying to be emphatic here. I'm trying to be really serious here. Point shaving almost killed East Coast basketball for years
Oh
in the
yeah.
1950s.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
So, and that's the thing. You're not intentionally losing a game. You're still trying to win. You're just not trying to win by as much. And so that the gambler, if there are good odds against that team that day, the gambler makes a lot of money. And they're more than willing to forgive a debt
hmm
if you're willing to do that. We will make up your debt with the sports, with the bookies, if you will do something to cause this game to not be as one-sided as everybody think it is. And you get this on Twitter all the time where people say, "Oh, is this game fixed? Oh, it's crazy."
Yeah. Yes.
Well, and that's the last thing the NFL needs, because if you come out with a scandal, those tweets all of a sudden become very serious.
You're liable for corruption as far as the government
Right.
is concerned. You can be, it's like I think people don't understand as far as the government concerned. They can shut down the entire league, especially if they feel like the league is, you know, um, taking the fans' money, knowing that players are fixing games. Like I said, that's just for me. I don't understand why a player don't
No,
understand that. I
but
don't understand why you don't get that. It's
but
clear.
that's the thing. The public and the media who are kind of coming out and saying, "Well, does it matter? Why does it matter if the players bet? It's their money." Because you get to a point where you've lost so much that you want to try and make it up.
hmm
Um, and that's when you're vulnerable. And that's when the game is vulnerable. And that's when sports books are vulnerable. Sports books don't want this either.
Mm-mm.
They don't want these scandals. I think that sports books are feeding the NFL information on what players are
Absolutely.
gambling. They can't stand a scandal either. Because if their numbers aren't legit, all of a sudden you might as well be WWE. You
Right.
might as well be professional wrestling,
Right.
because nobody believes that your game is legit.
hmm
And it's just as important for the sports books as it is for the league. And another thing that surprises me, and Mike, you kind of alluded to this, is they know better. It's not a matter of not communicating this to the players and the players just not knowing that they're not supposed to do this. Players know. And for crying out loud, the players want college emphasizes the same thing.
Yeah. The same thing. Yeah.
The players know what they are allowed and not allowed to do. And this isn't a matter of lack of education, lack of educating the players. This is just you got to maybe educate the players on how important it is if you are seen as being illegitimate as far as a game, or if fans question why a game turned the way it did. Now you got a problem, and then that's it. Um, it could wreck. It could really bring this $1 billion house that the NFL has built, especially since climbing in bed with the sports betting industry,
hmm
could bring this $1 billion house crashing down pretty quick. And it is, all it takes is one scandal. And the NFL has to realize they're not far away from that scandal.
Oh yeah. They have enough scandals in regards to the injuries and whatnot. So they have enough on their plate where the government is even getting involved in that aspect. Are you doing everything? Are you supplying these players with drugs and things that they
Yeah,
have enough scandals when it comes down. They don't need this on top of that because like that could bankrupt the business and to be honest, like we probably won't have the NFL anymore if it get to that point. So it's a dangerous
it
precedent
is.
to set, especially if you just turn a blind eye to it. It's almost like insider trading.
Yeah,
And I believe it was a Colts player that did something weird. I think he like put up a couple $1 million or something like that on a bet, and he ended up, winning. And like I said, that's a red flag. Like that's a huge red flag
yes, it
for
is.
things like that. It's like you know something about the game, and then you're benefiting from it that the public doesn't. So like I said, that's a major problem.
Yeah, it is. And you know, I know on our show we're kind of guilty of that too. I make picks against the point spread every week for everybody to. I do it for fun. The way I look at it, no, you shouldn't be gambling. Gamble only what you can afford to lose.
Right.
Don't go crazy. If
Hmm.
you can't afford it, but you think you're getting even, then you got a problem. Then
Hmm.
you're really in a problem. And it's as I say, it's rough because yeah, I know. Everybody makes picks against the spread, and it kind of promotes gambling in a way. But I'm also not in a position to sway the result of the game
Right.
because I just say be careful. Don't bet more than you can afford to lose. It can be fun. It could, increase your excitement during the game, but don't go crazy. Don't go
Hmm.
crazy. So, or just don't do it at all. Yeah, that comes to it down to it too.
Yeah. If you feel like you're addicted to it, I would stay away from it.
Yep.
Um, like I said, for me, it's like I'll take I'll put a couple bucks on a pick, just to make a couple of extra dollars. It's like when you started putting up, 10,000, 5,000, 20,000.
Right.
Yeah, you might have a problem there.
Now you got a problem. Yeah. But and for players, you just never know when they're going to decide that they might want to try and get even. And it doesn't take throwing a game. It just takes making a couple mistakes on the field, and you change the outcome of the game,
Hmm.
and it's just as bad. It's rough. It's a scandal, and people will not have faith in the results of a game going forward. It's going to take a lot of time to get that trust back if they lose it.
Hmm.
So, Mike, we're out of time
Again, we went
again.
over.
We went over. Oh man, but loved having you on as usual.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
It's
Thank
fun. Definitely the great one, and and loved having you on, Dave Holcomb. Looking forward to you coming back soon as well.
you. Hmm.
Still on diaper duty. Um,
Yeah, that's not fun.
so, but we'll have Dave back in another couple of weeks, and
Hmm.
so. But this has been a lot of fun too, and I've enjoyed it. Again, and we just got done talking about gambling, and I'm going to bring up Prize Picks, sponsor of the show. They match up to $100 of your first deposit, and you use the promo code ASU, and you can see how you do. Little small player props during the week and during the season. So again, use the promo code ASU. They match up to $100 of your first deposit. And boy, I just did it there. I can't do it at the start of the show, but I just did it there. Mike, great to have you. Our audience, you are wonderful. We love having you join us every Saturday, or if you're watching the playback, having you during the week. John St. Clair, you guys have a great weekend. You too. Everybody have a wonderful 4th of July holiday. So remember, Tuesday is Independence Day, and hope everybody has a great holiday. Again, we'll join us next week, next Saturday. We'll be back on at 12 Eastern time or 11 my time, and we'll do another Docs and Pigskin show for you. Everyone have a great week.